Hi, I'm Denise, and this is Mommy's Guide to Happy Hour. This is where real moms tell it like it is, and we don't hold back. And today we're going to be talking about adoption. And I'm very excited to have this guest on. I've actually been trying to get her for several months now. So I want to welcome Beth, who is going to dive right in with us and talk about why her and her family chose to adopt. So it's a great story. But before we do that, we have to do our hashtag Mommy's Drink of Choice. And best drink of choice is Riesling. Yes. We all know I have my Prosecco. So cheers and welcome.
Thank you.
So originally I met Beth's husband at a marketing event. And for some reason, he was telling me the story about you and him adopting a teenager, and I found it fascinating, but at the time I didn't approach him. Then we ran into each other about a month later at a work event, and he had his wife with him, and I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity. It's like fate. As someone I just met who I actually recognized again, and sometimes in the field, you meet people all the time and you don't necessarily recognize them. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing about your story, hearing your journey, and just why you decided to do it, one, after all the children grew up. So, but first I want to start at the beginning on what was your family life like prior to the journey of adoption?
Well, my husband, Matt Borsteg, and we met, it's probably 8-9 years ago.
Okay.
And we were both going through very bad divorces.
Mm-hmm. Are there good ones?
No.
Okay.
So we became friends, and that's kind of how we got together. It was just this wonderful friendship. And we kind of checked in on each other.
Right.
And then it grew into this amazing, incredible relationship. And we had dated for several years before we decided to get married. And I actually moved in with him. We were living together. And it's kind of a funny, I was actually working for his company.
Okay.
And I'd only been working there for about 3 months.
Okay.
And the whole sequestration episode
Yeah.
came on.
Okay.
And he actually had to let me go
Oh.
because the owner of the company wouldn't do it. He's like, no, you got to do it. So he actually came to my workplace and he had to fire me.
Wow. So he didn't mind if you weren't paying half your rent then, right?
No.
Okay.
So then he let me move in with him, and I said, fine, but I'm not going to do your laundry. I got to set the boundaries.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how our relationship grew. And we have children from previous marriages. So I have 2 daughters. They're now grown, 23 and 29.
Okay.
And Matt has 3 children. Let's see, 30, 31, and 33.
Okay.
And the oldest is married now with 2 babies, so we have grandchildren.
So when you two got together, all of your children were out of the house?
Pretty much,
okay,
yes.
So,
except for my daughter, Kelly.
Okay.
She was still kind of in and out of college.
Okay.
So she was living in the basement.
Okay.
And then Matt has also a very good relationship with his stepdaughters from his previous marriage.
Okay.
So we basically, they're our daughters.
Right. I understand.
So there were seven of us, right? Yes.
That's a lot.
And when Kelly left the house, it was just Matt and I. And Matt wanted to do something more. And he felt like we give to charities, we donate to our church, but he just wanted to do something more. And we had met a friend through work, and she was a CASA worker.
Okay.
CASA worker is oh my gosh, it's not an attorney, but you're like the pal, the friend of the foster child.
Okay.
So they're kind of the go-between, the liaison between the foster child and the social worker, the caseworker, the lawyers, the judge.
So someone you could go to if you had questions or if you wanted to talk about a situation.
Yes.
First. Okay.
Like a friend.
Right.
Yes.
That had the best interest of the child at heart, and they were,
So she was explaining to us about this unique case that she had where there was 9 children, several fathers, and the oldest one was not in a happy place. And so she was trying to find him another place.
Okay.
And so at first, Matt and I thought, well, we have this huge house and we live on the water and we're very active. Maybe we can do something to help out.
Right.
So we thought about, we could do respite care.
Oh, and what does that mean?
And so respite care is when the foster parents go on vacation or they just need a break. The child has to go to a certified respite care. You still have to go through all the.
So you have to take a course and all that. Okay.
You just can't stay with anyone.
Right.
So we thought we could do that. And as Matt and I signed up for the classes, the foster care classes, as we got into the classes and we learned how there are so many teenagers, especially in Anne Arundel County and Baltimore County, teenagers that are displaced because of the foster care system. And so we thought, wouldn't it be great to foster care an adult, or not an adult, but a teenager,
right,
in hopes that we can keep them in school, in the same school,
right,
to kind of alleviate change. So that's what we went in with. We're just going to get teenagers.
Okay.
We don't want babies.
Right.
We live on the water.
Right. Quite honestly, I don't think I'd want to start all over again with a baby.
I know. I'm thinking, we're old, but we're not that old.
I mean, yeah.
But we have an established life, and so we wanted to do it just for teenagers.
Right.
And so we went through the class. Well,
I do have one. I don't mean, but before I forget it. So for the foster care system, did you find that the foster care families were fostering more than one child at a time?
Absolutely.
And that's why it was not working. Okay.
Yes.
Of all ages and different ethnic backgrounds and okay.
So for an example, Michael, our used to be foster child, he was living in a house with a woman that had another an older foster child, not related to Michael, and then one of Michael's brothers.
Okay. Okay.
So there were three foster boys in one house.
Okay.
And getting back to the foster care classes, like I said, we went in knowing that we wanted to help teenage, not necessarily boys or girls, just teenagers. And when we finished our classes, the ink wasn't even dry on our papers before we got a call saying there was a teenage boy that was looking for a home where there was no other children. And then come to find out through conversation, it was the child that our friend, the CASA worker, was talking about. Yes. Oh. And we were the perfect fit because we were active. We didn't have any other children in the home. We could devote 100% of our attention to him.
So he didn't even want his brother to come with him, who he's currently living with. He just wanted to be completely alone.
He wanted to be an only child.
Wow.
He is number one of now 10 children.
That's a lot.
And at the time, he was the oldest of 9.
So do they have contact with their biological parents if they want to? Or how does...
It's restricted.
Okay.
He did not have contact with his father until after he came to live with us. Michael's father was in and out of prison. It for the longest time, I think he didn't realize he had a son. So he saw his mother once a month for an hour.
Were those, I guess, supervised visits? That's what I was looking for, yeah.
Yes, and all the siblings were together.
For that visit.
Yes.
So when she would have a visit, she didn't individually visit them. It was all a group, and she's trying to give attention to all of them. Wow. Okay.
It was very difficult.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And so how is that for you after you are his parents now and he visits with his mom? Or how was it in the beginning, maybe?
Beginning, it was for Michael, he didn't want to give up that relationship with his mom. That's his mother.
Right, I understand.
And he latched onto my husband, Matt, like nobody's business. I kind of took a back seat.
Right.
He craved having
because
a
he didn't know his father. Yeah, he didn't know his father was. And
he wanted a man in his life. So I kind of took a back seat. And that was okay. I accepted that. And he had, as he grew older, he came to us when he was 16. So when he was about 17, he wanted to make the decisions of when he could see mom.
Okay.
And so we would meet at a restaurant or some public place. I think she's been to our house maybe once.
Okay.
But it was normally at a public place.
And normally with the both of you or him by himself?
Yes.
Okay. And
It
how is
wasn't-
she with you? How is that relation? What does that relationship look like?
It's kind of strange
Mm-hmm.
because Michael is her oldest. So I think she has, well, it's hard to judge because I've only had so many interactions with her, but Michael is firstborn.
Right.
So I know that she has a special place in her heart for him, but she just,
Did she have him the longest? I know she's had him the longest, but in terms of caring for all of her children, did she care for him the longest? Do you know?
well, yes, because when he first went into foster care, he was 11.
Okay. So,
Yeah. And the kids are basically 1 year apart.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't
Crazy.
even imagine having that many children in a happy marriage.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's crazy.
But that's great though so I want to hear about you. So you guys talked about it. You decided this is what we want to do.
Yes.
So now let's tell our entire family what
Yes.
we would like to do.
So we told our children first.
Okay.
This is what we're doing, and we've gone through the foster care
Mm-hmm.
classes,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to host a foster child.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our kids, my daughters, Matt's kids, and
Mhm.
stepdaughters, they were all like, "Yeah, this is great. This is cool."
Right. Mhm.
And my youngest daughter, Kelly, she's now 23. She's like, "Oh, I get a little sister, a little brother.
Right,
Yay!"
right.
She was all happy.
Right.
Um,
Was she
However-
23 at the time or 23?
no, she was like
So she was still a teenager.
yes, she
Okay.
was like 19.
Okay.
Yeah, 1920. So, but they were all very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Matt is the oldest boy.
Mhm.
He's one of 10 children. Comes from a large Irish Catholic family.
I was going to say, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And when he talked to his siblings about it, they kind of shook their heads and like, why are you doing this?
Right.
You're empty nesters.
You're done.
Inviting
Right.
a teenage, who knows,
With challenges
what, a train wreck
or,
into
you
your
hear,
home.
right. You hear the just horror stories. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so they thought we were a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt's like, no, this is what we're going to do and we're going to make it work.
Right.
Yep.
And so what was the process then? So you took classes. So what does that entail?
So you take classes. I think we met like every Thursday for I don't know how many weeks, 10, 11 weeks.
is that in a big class with
It's
other
in a classroom.
okay.
We were actually in a class with a couple that has two of Michael's siblings.
Mm.
And then they have another child as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to, take all these classes and then you're certified as a foster parent.
Okay.
And you can the respite care as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we had opened our homes and we actually took in another child.
Okay.
One Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
We had him for a week.
Okay.
His name was Michael too.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was Big Mike and then Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't imagine. I really, I think
was
it's
crazy.
wonderful. I just couldn't imagine.
But the process, I understand there are reasons, but we had to have the fire marshal come out and inspect our home.
Okay.
We had
We don't
all
have
these
to do
inspections.
that when
No.
we give birth. They just say,
Yeah.
take the baby home.
Yeah.
Here's your car seat. The
Yes.
fireman can help you put it in, but the fire marshal
Yes.
doesn't come to your house.
So we were
Right.
getting a teenager,
Right.
a teenage boy,
Right.
and we had to install a fence in our backyard
Because of the
because
water.
we live on the water. So we we spent, I don't know how much money
Oh, a
on
lot.
a 4-foot
Right.
cyclone fence.
Mm-hmm.
He's a teenage boy.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
So the course then, if I'm hearing you correctly, the course wasn't geared towards certain ages. It was
No.
a generalized course,
Yes.
regardless of an infant
Yes.
or
So you
a
have to
teenager.
qualify for any age
Right.
of a child,
Right.
whether if it's an infant or 16 years old.
So you're sitting there learning about how to baby-proof your home, knowing
Yep.
you didn't need to baby-proof your
Yep.
home. Wow.
We had to put alarms on the windows, the doors,
Oh my God, that's a huge
hide all
expense.
the chemicals, under the sink. We had to get a new
Wow.
water system because we're on well water.
I'm on well, but so I'm wondering why did you need a new system? So I have a
Because
salt system. I have a big system on my.
the radiant, I think it's radium levels were too high.
Okay, I can see that here.
And so, $4,000 later,
Right.
we have great water.
I still don't drink it. I still drink bottled water.
I do too.
But we have a huge system on this
Yes.
house. They come every 4 weeks and
Yeah.
trust the chemicals and do whatever they do to
Yep.
it. But
So it was a very lengthy, it's not just taking the classes,
Right.
it's all these inspections.
Well, and how many home inspections did they, before you received him, how many times did they pop in on you just to make sure?
No, it was
things were
scheduled
always-
visits.
Oh,
Yes.
That's surprising. I would
Uh-huh.
think maybe they'd want to catch you.
No,
Not
but we
knowing.
had to give them references,
Mhm,
and so
right.
they interviewed
Mhm.
our friends and our coworkers and did background checks. We had to get fingerprinted. So, yeah,
That's just so crazy. It's
It
amazing
is.
that you have to go through all of that to get someone else's child, but we can just have them.
And
She
go
didn't
home
have to
with
do
no
anything.
instructions.
Well, and think of that mother who's had all these kids. She
Yes.
doesn't have to do anything. You have to do more to take on her child than she
Yes.
has to do currently. So it's nuts. It's nuts. But I guess, it's good for the children because they don't want them bouncing. But I still feel
Right.
like you do hear those stories of them just bouncing from place to place
Yes.
to place. So,
Yes.
so explain to me a little bit of a difference between being, do you have to be a foster parent first before you adopt?
Yes.
And and how long is that period for?
So when the child, regardless of the age,
Mhm.
comes into your home, that's when the clock starts.
Okay.
So it's about 12 months. And during that
Okay, so
12
that's good.
months,
Mhm.
the biological parent is given a task of things to do that he or she needs to do in order to get the child back.
Oh, okay.
Like going to counseling,
Clean up.
doing drug testing,
Yes, exactly.
whatever.
Clean themselves up.
So it gives them time.
Mhm.
But during that time, the parent can just decide, I
I'm done.
think it's best
Right.
to give the
I
child
can't
up
care for
adoption.
them. And
Correct.
okay.
And we had to fight for Michael,
Mm-hmm. Really?
which was ridiculous because, like I said, at the time, he was the oldest of 9.
right.
She has since had another child. Every single one of the children are in foster homes. And
So the
she-
likelihood of anyone granting her own children is probably very
Nothing.
slim.
Yes.
Which my heart goes out to her too,
It does.
because
but
when you're a mother,
yes.
but we do things that are right in order
Yes.
to make sure our children are healthy.
But mentally, I think that she wasn't all there. She knows how to make the babies, but she didn't know how to
Right.
care for the
Care for 'em.
babies.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Well, all right. So he's in your foster care now.
Yes.
So you go through a year,
Uh-huh.
which is good. So all the seasons and just, it's like dating,
Yes.
it really takes you an entire year to,
Mhm.
to somewhat get to know someone. And then within that time, he's visited his mother how many times during your trial period, that
Once a
first year?
month.
Once a month.
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes he didn't make it because we had him in football. He made the varsity football team when he was a junior
Wow. Okay.
in high school. We got him into lacrosse.
Mhm.
That's the best thing for a teenage boy is to get them into an activity where
Right.
they can burn off
Their energy.
all that.
Yes. I
Yes.
have a 10-year-old boy and I'm like,
Yep.
if he's not occupied, he's annoying.
Yes.
I won't let you watch this, but if you're not occupied, you're annoying. But it's true. I know when he's finished whatever task he was supposed to do because
Yeah.
all of a sudden him and his sister start
Yeah.
arguing with each other. And I'm like,
Yes.
if I keep you busy, my whole house is calm. So I get that.
He would be sitting on the couch with video games. Like when he came to us, he was. We'll just
Was he
call him a
quiet
couch
when he
potato.
first?
No, he's very. How do I say this? Outgoing. I mean, we couldn't keep the girls off of him. Good Lord.
Oh, God help you.
He's very animated. He wanted to at one time take acting classes.
So he hasn't let his situation kind of, I don't know what I want.
You know what
I mean? Like,
he's not angry.
okay.
So a lot of foster children, they are angry, and
Yeah.
some of Michael's siblings still do have anger issues. Michael was not that way,
Right.
but I think he buried a lot of things, and we would try to pull those things out slowly so we could work on them to make him,
Right.
get him to go forward.
Now, do they suggest a therapy when?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So,
Absolutely.
all right. And for both of you, for you and your husband, and
Yes.
okay.
So we can learn about him.
Right.
and what he's gone through, so then we can all learn together how to move forward. When a child is put into foster care, at that age, when they're put into foster care,
And he was how old? 11.
they basically stop developing,
Oh,
not physically,
right.
but mentally. So when we got Michael, he came to us when he was 16 years old, but really, we were getting a 12-year-old.
Right. In his academic abilities,
Absolutely.
but not his physical abilities.
And then as he grows into this, 6 foot, 200-pound bouncing baby boy,
Right.
he's still 12,
Right.
13.
Right.
So our job as the foster parents and as the later adoptive parents
Right.
is to try and get him to catch up.
So was he going to school regularly when you first got him?
Yes. He was enrolled, where did he go? Brooklyn,
Brooklyn Park?
Maryland. Yes.
Brooklyn
So
Park.
he was, and we got him in the summer between
Okay.
his freshman and sophomore year.
Now, did you hold him back or did you?
No.
Okay. And so then when you fostered him, he went where? If you
He
want to
went
say.
to Chesapeake High School.
Okay, which is a great high
Pasadena.
school.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And we told him you have the option to stay in your high school. That was the whole point. Or you can go to a different high school. And he's like, no, I want to go somewhere.
It sounds like he really wanted a fresh start.
He did.
Oh.
Yeah. He interviewed us the first time he came to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
What
brought
was that
pizza
like?
and like,
Right.
hey, and teenage boys eat pizza.
Right.
I mean, he loved it. I mean, we live on the water. We have
Right.
this beautiful view. We
Right.
have kayaks. We have
Right.
a boat.
Right.
And-
Nothing like has ever been used to or
no.
seen. So
Yeah. So it was like Disneyland for
Right.
him.
Oh,
Yes.
that's great. That's great. And then, so how long, I guess, after you started fostering him, did you decide, what we think we would like to adopt? Just because he was so close to the 18-year-old mark.
Yes. Actually, you can be adopted at any age.
Oh,
It doesn't.
I
It doesn't
did
stop
not know
at
that.
18. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But Michael, after spending 2 months with us, he's like, "Can you adopt us?"
Oh.
It's like, "Oh no, baby, let's wait,"
Right.
because we explained to him what the honeymoon phase
Right.
is.
It's all good the first couple of
Yeah.
months.
Disneyland,
For anything.
live in the water, you have a boat.
It's the summer, right?
Yeah.
Wait till we get you into school and we make you do your
Exactly.
homework.
Yeah.
And yes.
And
you
the
have restrictions.
chores. Yeah.
Yes.
So we made him wait, but we said, we're going to talk about this in a couple of months. It's not a closed subject. We're open for adoption.
So when you decided to adopt, before you said anything to him, did you open it back up to all your other children?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. We told him what we had planned and what we would like to do. We would like to adopt Michael and make him a permanent member of our family. He wanted stability. He craved a father figure.
Right.
We knew he wasn't going to get it anywhere else.
Right.
And we knew that, my husband, I love him dearly. He is the best father figure on the planet
Aw.
by far. Him and Michael, they just clicked.
Right.
And I, unfortunately, I kind of would
Right.
stand back and watch.
Right.
But again, it was amazing to
Aw.
watch them interact.
So Matt, we have this on video, so
Yes.
she can't take it back now. She said you were the best father figure
Yes.
ever.
He is. My girls love him. Our stepdaughters love him. He's so good with kids. And for me, it was kind of, short tempered but I don't know. Matt was like the
Right.
He's
Well, I think
calm one.
sometimes the men are a little more easy breezy than the women are. Maybe because we tend to be with them a little bit more than the men are sometimes, or we look at the structure of it. Like there's chores that need to be done. There's tasks that need to be done in the house. Like I do it now because I'm divorced. And when it's my weekend, my kids are constantly saying, what are you going to do this weekend?
Yes.
Well, we're going to do laundry and we're going to clean our rooms.
Yes.
And they're like, but we went to Air Jump last weekend and we went to the movies last weekend and
Yes.
we did this last weekend. And I'm like, well, it sounds like you had a busy weekend.
Yes.
But we have responsibilities here.
Yes.
So I'm always not the fun parent.
right.
So
I was definitely the heavy with Michael. Yes.
And I think if he still lived here, I would still be, we've got to get our stuff done.
Yes.
And,
I always
Take some
told
time.
Michael, you do what you need to do, so you can do what you want to do.
that's a good one. I like that.
Do what you need to do
Right.
so you can do what you want to do.
Well, and arguing, my kids will argue with me. And I'm like, you could have been done by now.
Yes.
As long as you just sat there and argued with me about doing it, it could have been done. You could be out there. You could be outside right now. You could be playing Fortnite. You could be doing whatever you want, but you're arguing with me for 15 minutes about it. And now you're not going to get to do anything.
Right.
Except that chore I just gave you.
Yes.
So, yeah, I get it. I feel like the moms are a little more.
Well, and I think what Michael came from, he had been in 2 foster homes before he came to us. And there was very little structure,
Right.
very little discipline. And I think the last foster mom, as Michael was growing up, she really didn't know how to handle him.
I could see that. And I could see him going either way with he's craving structure or he's just, he can't adapt to structure.
Right.
Because I think some kids that don't get structure crave it. They want some kind of outline of what it's going to look like.
Yes.
Versus it being a free for all. They may not like it, but I think they crave it. So
And it's very difficult to instill in a 16-year-old
right,
boy.
because they're kind of set in their ways at that point.
Yeah.
So I applaud you. I just think that this story is amazing. I really do, because I look at myself and, I joke all the time about how
crazy.
well, and I joke all the time about how I think I can't wait for my kids to move out and then I'm done. I can't imagine then bringing another being back into the house and you don't have to start all over again, but just you started a new journey. So you might as well say you started all over again, because all those classes and being with him for the first year is like a 9-month pregnancy.
Yes.
And, and then getting to know your baby.
Absolutely.
So,
and then let's start school, and then let's find out what his disabilities are. And then let's tackle,
all of that.
Forcing the homework.
Because I'm sure if no one ever made him do homework, I don't want to do homework either.
No.
So,
but the thing with Michael, and it was so frustrating. We would go to all these kind of like a parent-teacher conference that's required by the state for the foster care.
Okay.
And Michael has just been coddled and handheld for his entire schooling.
Right.
If he fails a test, that's okay, we'll retake it. And the teacher will help you retake it.
So the school was allowing it to happen. His old school.
Oh, every school.
Really? Because it was in foster care, do you think?
I don't know.
Because I don't think they would do that. I mean, they're not saying that to my kids right now if they're not passing a test.
I don't know.
Do you think it's a concept like sympathy advancement? Like almost like social promotion. Like,
well, it was
so sad. We're just
we're gonna let you do it.
Well, I'll help you.
And I don't want to refer to, but I did just watch The Blind Side the other day, and the same thing was happening to him.
Yes.
They just kept letting him go and go and go, and then he reached high school.
Yes.
And he didn't know how to take a test.
Michael didn't know how to study.
But he didn't know how to, right. And
he was
so.
a junior in high school. And I was like, you don't know how to study for a test?
Because no one taught him.
I would try to help him. Like, let's study. You have a test tomorrow? Okay. And, thank God for Parent Connect. But God, I hated that.
What's Parent Connect?
So Parent Connect, you can sign up for, and it will give you alerts if your child misses an assignment or is tardy to class or failed a test. You'd get this alert.
Okay.
And so I had it for my youngest daughter, Kelly.
Ooh.
And with Michael, it was like, oh my God, it was just
taking
every
left
day.
and right.
I was like, I'm so sick of Parent Connect. And then we tried to get him a day planner and to write his homework in, and he just couldn't do it.
Or didn't bring the books home.
Yeah, and then he'd lose his planner,
Right.
and it was so frustrating. But, he graduated. He graduated high school with probably a 2.0 by the skin of his teeth.
Right.
But he did.
But he graduated.
Because we hounded
Stayed
him.
on him.
Yes. And he got a letter in varsity football. He got a letter in varsity lacrosse.
That's good.
So, I mean, even though he was the goalie in lacrosse, and he would come home
That's
with bruises
right. I
every
mean,
night.
yeah, that's not an easy position.
We needed to get him
to do something
in groups, and be part of a team because he'd never had that before.
Right. And be part of a positive team.
Yes.
So, and those athletes that are very serious about it and want to do it in college are they they really take care of their bodies. So they're not out there doing things that
Right.
other teenagers might be doing
Right.
that aren't involved in certain programs.
Right.
If I can say it without saying it, you know what I mean? So,
And I applaud.
Alex is laughing at me.
I applaud the athletic department at Chesapeake High School, the football coach, the lacrosse coach. They kind of knew about Michael's background, and I would have emails or phone calls with the coaches, and so they knew exactly how to work with him.
Right. That's just
And
great.
they said no one on the team is a harder worker than Michael.
Right.
He will do anything. He
Right.
will. I mean, what did he win the first year? It was like, it wasn't like he won this award for, it wasn't like most aggressive player, but he was the most aggressive player.
Right.
And sometimes during practice, he went a little too far.
Right.
But, and that's the first award. He never won anything in his life. And so the first year playing football, and he wins this award. And, you know, there was an award ceremony, and he was up on stage and got this plaque, and it meant the world to him.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. And I love the fact because, you know, I always look for this in people and in myself. And I love that anyone that takes things that have happened to them in the past that have not been positive and have not been good, and don't sit and dwell on it and don't sit and wallow in it and think, I can be better than that. I can do better than that. And I
Yes.
want better than that. And, you know, it sounds like in his situation, out of all his siblings, and I don't know about all the rest of them, but definitely in him, he was not going to let that define him. And he wanted better. He wanted
Yes.
out of the foster care system he was in, or the home he was in.
Yes.
And he asked for that, and he found better, and then he strived to do better. And
He's breaking the cycle.
he is,
Definitely.
because
Yes.
that's not an easy thing to do, especially his mom is still having children. Well, she might not be now. I don't know how old she is, but she did just have one more. But you know,
Yes.
so he's still seeing it. It wasn't just him
Yes.
and maybe one or two more. So he's still, and the fact that he wanted to be better and change his situation, I think is amazing.
He kept telling us that when he was 18, he didn't want to go do counseling anymore. And I was like, why would you not want to do counseling? Because it kind of helps you, you know, bring things to light, work on things, and move forward. And he's like, I'm tired of talking about the past. I just want to move forward. And I get that.
I like that.
I get that. But he was definitely out of the 9 children. I met the 10th one maybe once, but that was a baby. I think out of the 9 children, Michael's got it together.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah, and his older brothers, Sebastian, Nathaniel, the families that they are with now are just amazing.
Amazing.
And they're doing amazing things.
So when you decided that you were going to go from fostering to adopting, then what was that process like, since you were already his foster parents for a while?
In order to adopt Michael, we had to get his biological mother and his biological father to basically relinquish their
Parental rights. or
Parental
whatever.
rights, yes. Michael had one phone call. He had asked us if he could call his father. And we tracked down his number. And I had spoken to his father, and I said, yes, you know, we can do this, but I just would ask that we could do a speakerphone call.
Right. Okay.
And he agreed to that. So we did.
Because he had never met him before.
Never met
Okay.
him. No. Looks just like him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so getting his consent was not a problem. After we had maybe 2 phone calls sessions, he said, you know, Michael, you're with a great family. They're
Right.
getting you in sports. They're on the right track with you, and they're going to do great things for you.
And he knew that he
Yes.
couldn't, right. He hadn't been around. And
Right.
what was he going to contribute? So,
But the mother was a little difficult. She kind of put up a fight.
which is
And
odd.
I basically, you know, we were at court and it was getting down to the 11th hour. And so I had told the social worker, if she says no, then we'll just fight her. Because she's not going to get custody of this child.
Right.
There's no way. And she finally, at the 11th hour, said, okay.
You can.
And she signed him over, And then the adoption was 30 days later.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he was the only one getting adopted that day because they usually do adoptions on Thursday in Annapolis.
Okay.
And the courthouse was full of the social workers and the CASA workers
right.
and everyone who's known Michael since he was 10, 11 years old.
To come and see it.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I had a dad on the show back in the summertime or before the summer. And I had him on because he was newly married and him and his wife had a newborn, but he had adopted her 9-year-old son. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to talk about that process, about how he had to go to the father. You have to, you haven't been in his life. And he was very honest about the conversation. It was a really good conversation. And he wanted to adopt him. He had married his mother and they have a child and he wanted to adopt him. So, and he sent pictures out of them in the courthouse that day with the certificate and the judge and, how happy everybody was. So
yeah, it was a great time.
That's great. That's great.
Actually, Matt, so when Matt proposed to me, it was December. We got married March 5th. Anniversary's tomorrow, honey. Okay. Tomorrow.
You better run right out. Better run out. He's not going to see this until after the anniversary.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So we kind of sped things up to get married because when we adopted Michael, we wanted to be married because otherwise.
So you weren't married the whole time you were going through that. Okay.
Right.
You left that part out of the story.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It would have to be one or the other. Like Matt would adopt and then I would do it later.
Right.
So he's like, yeah, let's just get married. We'd both been married before, so whatever.
Right.
So we announced it at our wedding reception.
That you were adopting him.
And we had, 175 of our friends and family, my parents,
Right.
Matt's mother, all of his siblings.
Wow.
And we announced that we were going to adopt Michael.
Wow. And did he know that before you announced it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't know when until you.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a sweet memory.
So it was great. Yeah.
And then it was 30 days later after
About
that?
30, I want to say after, it was about 30 days.
Okay. So newly married, newly adopted son.
We got married and we had a 200-pound bouncing baby boy.
Wow. Who can cut the lawn and open
Yes.
jars for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's, I nicknamed him Baby Dinosaur, but we'll get into that later.
Oh my God.
So getting back to, we adopted him his birthday is October 23rd, and he was adopted like October 18th, right before his 18th birthday. But there is no deadline. It's
I didn't know that. I thought once they were 18, you couldn't. Yeah.
Oh, no, you can
You're
adopt
not-
him
you're
at
not
any
a-
age.
Someone could adopt me right now.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. If you were a caretaker to an elderly woman, but you couldn't make medical decisions for her, right? She can adopt you,
And have to go through that whole process, though.
Yeah, but it's nothing. I mean, when you're older, it's different, but you can still adopt at 18.
Well, that's great. And so, how old is he now?
He's 21.
And what's he doing now?
So Michael is.
You just smile
I
the
know
whole
because
time.
I'm so proud of him. He is a Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps, and he's stationed in Camp Pendleton.
Okay. Great. Congrats.
Thank you.
Do we have enough to cheers?
I know. Yeah,
I got a teeny little bit. Wait, you've been talking. I've just been enjoying the story.
So Michael, college is not for him.
It's not for everybody.
Maybe later, right? So I was military, 16 years Army, woohoo! So I was trying to steer him down that path, and he ended up with the Marines, and they were great in helping him, study for the ASVAB because he failed it miserably the first time. Because again, he just didn't know how to study.
Right.
But then we worked with him, and now he's good. He's stationed at Camp Pendleton, and we're scheduled to go out in April to go see him.
Okay. Excellent. So that's good.
Yeah. So he's finding his way.
Wow.
Yeah. I still worry about him, but I mean, through basic training, oh my God, I probably wrote letters to him every other day.
Wow.
I wrote so many letters, and I would put pictures in, and I was so worried about him. And then when he graduated basic, I'm like, oh, thank God. And
He made it through.
whew, and we went to his graduation, and his older I won't say sibling, but his foster brother Billy that he lived with at the last family. Him and his wife, they went to the graduation. His grandparents went to the graduation, and so he had this,
Did any of
huge
his siblings
cheerleading.
were his siblings able to make it or no?
No.
But you said at the time, not now, but you were getting them together at least.
Yes.
Does he have a relationship with some of them?
Excuse me. Yes, he does. Some of them, it's like online gaming, but whatever. It's a relationship. Right?
It's the new relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
But one of his brothers, Sebastian, is very interested in going into the military, maybe Marine Corps. But he's in college right now, so he's thinking maybe officer.
So he's in college too. So that's good.
Yes.
Good. So that's good.
Yeah. But once a year, they would get together at the grandparents. Now, these grandparents, they are, so they're, how do I say this? The siblings have 5 or 6 fathers.
Right.
And there's one set of grandparents who have just adopted all of the
them.
children. And so they are grandparents to every one of them.
Is it
Not
her
just-
parents?
No.
Oh, so it was one of the father's parents.
Yes.
Okay.
The Blacks. And Michael's last name is Hughie.
Okay.
And so they have pretty much their grandparents to
All of them.
which I think is amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So, you should feel, I have been really looking forward to you coming on here to talk about this. And I could feel that you really couldn't wait to get out here and kind of talk about it and get it out. And
It's so important because these kids, they're teenagers and high school is so hard.
It's hard.
Anyway.
Yes.
And so, and now you have to move because of some really bad thing. So,
Right. Well, we should have you back with Matt and Michael one time.
So, and just to let you know, I think in 2017, 2018, Matt and I were adoption parents of the year for the state of Maryland.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm like, congratulations! Crazy
Oh
enough
my
to
god!
adopt a teenage boy.
Well, that is a lot. That is a lot. And but that's, that just proves that you guys are selfless and you wanted to do something. Like you said, it's easy to write a check. It's easy to write a check to a donation or send clothes to the Goodwill or because those aren't clothes you want to wear anymore.
Right.
It's, those are things that you do that maybe help you sleep at night, but doing what you guys did is, above and beyond, and you changed his life. So you should.
I think we did. I feel good about where he's at right now, and I know he still needs some work. He still needs to learn, but he's in a good place.
So I will ask you. So I ask the same question when I wrap up to everyone, and my question is, and I think you'll be good about it, but it's what makes you happy.
What makes me happy?
What makes you happy?
The success of my children. Because I want them to be successful. I want them to succeed. And I want them to do it, on their own. My oldest daughter has a master's in biology. My other daughter, she is working at a, mental health facility. She wants to go to school for nursing. All of Matt's children, they're all professionals.
Right.
So I'm very pleased.
You're happy because they're happy.
Yeah.
So Beth, I just want to thank you. So I appreciate you coming on.
Sure.
Thank you for putting up with the lights and the cameras and all of that stuff. So I just thank you all for tuning in, and I just want to remind you again to follow Mommy's Guide to Happy Hour on Facebook and Instagram. Please go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe. Ring that little bell so then you know when some of the new episodes are coming out. And remember, you can also hear us on Spotify and Apple and pretty much any of the iPod podcast platforms. So tune in till next time. And we don't have any more to drink, but thank you and cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Cheers. You're welcome.